I've been there 4 times in my life. It's my favorite place on earth, and it's somewhere you really wouldn't expect. It's a little historic town in South Dakota. Now, when I said South Dakota, how many of you thought of Mount Rushmore or the movie National Treasure? Well, believe it or not, there are many other fun things to do in South Dakota, and one of my favorite is visiting the little gold mine town of Deadwood. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, what kind of place is that with a name like Deadwood? But to be honest, Deadwood has such an explosive past with gold miners, shootings, saloons, casinos, and so much more that I could go there every year and learn something new. It started out as a little gold mine town, went through a fire and a flood, and still managed to stick around for us to enjoy today. There's much more to do and see in Deadwood than just a little old gold mine. Mount Moriah Cemetery holds some of Deadwood's most iconic people, such as Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane, while Saloon Number 10 reenacts Wild Bill's tragic death. Now let's take a journey back in time to the Wild West and find out how Deadwood became such a hit. I'd like to start off with the general history of Deadwood and its location. It's located in a gulch called Deadwood's Gulch, named for all the deadwood in the area. Now, a gulch is kind of like a valley, nestled in between some of the Black Hills in South Dakota. Right up the road from Deadwood is a little town called Lead. Now, in Lead, there was the most profitable mine in the area. Deadwood did not have the most profitable gold mine, but Lead did, which is literally right up the hill from Deadwood. Also, right on the other side of Deadwood is Spearfish Canyon, where Gone with the Wild was filmed, and it has so many beautiful waterfalls and wildlife, and you can see so many beautiful scenic views there. Also, a couple hours away is Mount Rushmore, probably one of the most famous things South Dakota is known for. Now, aside from its location, there are many important people that have been in Deadwood. General Custer from the Civil War, he was the one who kind of put Deadwood really on the map. He had an exploration there to mine the gold, but he was not the one that really found Deadwood. John B. Pearson, who was mining gold in Deadwood's Gulch, was really the one that made a settlement there. He found gold in the Black Hills where Deadwood is now located, and he was the one who kind of brought everyone there. Now, for more righty people, you could say, you have Wild Bill Hickok, who was, you could say, kind of like a cowboy. He was known for the iconic shootings and gambling and different things like that. So he's kind of an important person, as well as Calamity Jane. Now, Calamity Jane was known in Deadwood for her excellent shooting skills and her rugged appearance. She often dressed like a man with baggy clothes and had a very short haircut. And she's also known for having a very big crush on Wild Bill. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. The last thing I want to talk about for the general history of Deadwood is the gold mines, the thing that really put Deadwood on the map. Now, in 1874, Homestake Mine was constructed. Homestake Mine was it was the most profitable mine in Deadwood. And it was, it's not around today. There is another gold mine that you can tour today, but we'll talk about that in a little while. The last thing I would like to talk about is how Deadwood has changed since its pioneer days. There is a strip on Deadwood, which I like to call Deadwood Strip. It is not the main road in Deadwood, but it is the main tourist road. There you can find all your shops and museums and different things like that. Also in Deadwood, there is a population of just under 1,400 people, which I know it doesn't seem like that many, but if you were to visit there, you would think, how in the world can 1,400 people live here? Like, it's a very, very small town. But now that we know the general history of Deadwood, let's find out what there really is to do there. There are many fun things to do in Deadwood, and here are some of my favorites. Mount Moriah Cemetery is at the top of my list of must-dos in Deadwood. Here you will find the burial place of Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. Now the story goes is that when Wild Bill was buried in Mount Moriah Cemetery, Calamity Jane, as her final request, said that she wanted to be buried next to Wild Bill. Now, the funny thing is that Wild Bill did not like Calamity Jane. He did not want anything to do with her, but she was so madly in love with him that she wanted to be buried next to him. Also, right down the road from Mount Moriah Cemetery is Broken Boot Gold Mine. Now, this was the gold mine that I was talking about that you can tour today. There, in the past for Broken Boot, there was 15,000 ounces of gold was mined there, which is roughly, back in the day, around $300,000. And that was mined over a 26-year span. 26 years, $300,000 in 26 years. That is not that much money, especially for people trying to get rich quick, right? And gold actually was not the most prominent find in the mine. Fool's gold, or iron pyrite, was the biggest find in Broken Boot, which is kind of ironic, I think. It's kind of fool's gold. But that was what made the most money at the mine. Now today there is a tour every 30 minutes, and you can actually go in the mine. It is kind of snug, so I wouldn't recommend it if you're kind of claustrophobic. But you can actually see where they would excavate and bring out the rock and the dirt to try to mine for gold. And also at the end of the tour, you have the opportunity to mine for gold, or to pan for gold, I'm sorry. You are given, you don't have to do this, but you can. You're given like a bowl. It looks like a bowl, but it's called a pan. And there's a big trough with water and rocks that have settled to the bottom. And under the rocks, there's the gold. So you would scoop up the rocks and you would rock it back and forth to pan for gold. Now, as you're rocking it back and forth, since gold is so much more dense than the water and the water and rock end up spilling over the edge while the gold settles at the very bottom. And that is what you have as your little souvenir. You get to keep those. They're really small. They're little tiny flakes of gold, but you do get to keep them as a souvenir. And last on my list is Saloon number 10, the famous bar that Wild Bill Hickok was shot and killed at. It is located on the Strip, and like I said, it's where Wild Bill was shot and killed playing poker. Now, around town, you have, as many of you poker players might know, as a dead man's hand, which consists of the ace of spades, the ace of clubs, the 8 of spades, and the 8 of clubs, which is it's dead man's hand. And it was the hand that Wild Bill was holding when Jack McCall was when he shot Wild Bill. And the story goes is that when Wild Bill walked into the bar, he wanted to sit down and play poker with some of the guys. And Wild Bill never sat with his back to the door. He always wanted to see who was coming in and out of the bar, and just so that he knew no one could sneak up from behind him. And for some reason that night, the only spot that was open is one with his back to the door. So it was kind of foreshadowing his death, I think. But Jack McCall walked up behind him and ultimately shot him in the head and killed him. And the reenactment is every 45 minutes, I believe. And you can see, you can sit right in the front row, I guess you could say, and you can see the shooting of Wild Bill and then Jack McCall running out into the street where the reenactment continues, and you can ultimately see Jack McCall's death as well. Well, now how is that for a blast from the past? From the geological location and the scenic views in the area to Wild Bill and Calamity and General Custer, we have seen all that Deadwood has to give without actually going there. We've seen the turmoil the gold miners went through, coming out with little gold and hardly a paycheck, to seeing how Deadwood has taken a completely 180-degree turn from a little old ghost town, you could say, to a thriving tourist attraction. And it has made me very happy and feeling very fortunate to have been able to visit there so many times and now being able to share it with you. Seeing all that Deadwood has to offer now with Saloon number 10, Broken Boot Gold Mine, and Mount Moriah Cemetery, I can only hope that you can see the shining gold under all that dirt that I see every time I visit there. Now it's time to take a vacation, learn something new, visit a place few people really know about. Find that gold the world is hiding and become rich with knowledge. Thank you.